Hi, everybody. We're here today with Kelley Doss. She was one of the fabulous women who climbs Mount Kilimanjaro with the Travel Solely group. So here's Kelley. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kelley Doss, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And I am a country girl. Can't tell by my voice. But I found Kelley, double Kellys, right? I found Kelley through her travel group, Travel Solely, and thank goodness I did because Kilimanjaro was one of the best and proudest moments of my life. So I'm super excited, super happy I found Kelley and her group, and so blessed that I actually did this trip and I did this journey, and it's changed my life forever.
So, what exactly made you decide that you wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro? I mean, that's not something that people decide like, tomorrow I'm going to go climb this mountain. So, like, what was it about climbing a mountain and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro that said, I need to do this?
Funny story. I'll try to make it brief because it's kind of long. Me and my parents went to Mexico, and I was watching the Everest movie. And the Everest movies where they all die and like they eat people and all this crazy stuff. I know, right? And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And my mom's like, over my dead body.
Oh,
So I was like, man, and I just could not get that adrenaline and that that, oh man, they even though they died, that's just amazing. I couldn't get that out of my body.
mhm.
And for weeks I was like, man, I would really love to do that. So I looked up, and I had already been getting your blogs and getting your stuff actually from like your newsletters and things like that. And I was like, where can I go that I have ladies and people who just want adventure like me? And I just was dying to do something. And I came across your Everest climb that you were going to do.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, but my mom said she would kill me over her dead body. And at the time, she had cancer. And
Oh,
she still has,
no, I'm sorry.
still has cancer, but at the time, we didn't know if it was terminal or what. So I was like, and I'm not superstitious or anything, but I just did not want to do Everest knowing that it could put her in her grave. Didn't want that.
Right.
So so I was like, well, and then you had your Kilimanjaro one as well. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But girl, pulling that trigger, I could not pull that trigger. So I remember me and you talked about it for months. Like, hey, you still want to do this? You want to? And I was like, yes, it's in my soul. I want to do this because I just wanted to do something grand.
Mhm.
My I had my mom was sick. My I just changed jobs to a new job, and I wanted to celebrate that, but also like kind of do something for me. I was in a relationship that really wasn't going to go anywhere, and I knew that, and that it wasn't his fault. He told me from the beginning. But all these things, I just really wanted to do something for me and feel good about myself. So it took me a while, but I pulled that trigger. And when I finally did, just that accomplishment alone, pulling the trigger and actually putting the deposit down, I was like, I'm doing this. And then when you start talking about it, you can't back out, right? You start telling
Right.
people you're doing this, you can't back out. So I was like, how am I going to train for this? I live in a bowl. Nashville is like negative 500 feet, so like you live
Right.
in a bowl. So I'm a runner, and it's funny because in Nashville we have horrible humidity. It's crazy. If anybody's ever been to Nashville, you know we have crazy humidity. And it's called a poor man's altitude. So if you're running in humidity, which we do almost all year long, then you have the same training, not completely, but the same, you cannot breathe just like in altitude. So I was
Okay.
like, okay, I got that going for me. That's good. And I run half marathons and all this stuff. And I was training hard. I was running hard. I was doing all this stuff. Then I went to Colorado, and I was like, I'm going to climb, the highest mountain in Colorado. That's what I'm going to do. Took a little short climbs. And of course, I've done stuff in Tennessee and all these hikes. I love hiking. I'm an avid hiker. Love it, love it. Um, I did great on the hike in Colorado, and I was so proud of myself, but I could not sleep in Colorado, and I knew that would be a problem. Never slept one day in Colorado because I was above, I was at 5,000 feet, and I sleep here at 500 feet.
Right.
My nose bled. I was, dry, and I was like, man, can I do this? I don't know that I can do this. And I was started putting that doubt in my head.
Mhm.
I was like, get over yourself, Kelley. You can do this. You got to do this because you
Right.
told yourself you're going to do this. And then I came down with some sort of funky bronchitis when I got home. And I was like, this is it. I, something's telling me not to do this trip. And I was like, nope. Kept on having to talk myself. And I was like, no, I've signed up for this. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to back out. I'm going to do this. I've never backed out of anything in my life. It's scary. Yeah, it's scary.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool. It's fun. It's adventurous. Let's do this. Who cares if I can't breathe today? I had like pneumonia. I mean, it was terrible.
Oh
Maybe it's
no.
just my body preparing me to not be able to breathe.
Right.
So finally I was like, calm my nerves. I know I can hike. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. There's hardly any deaths or whatever, and the statistics are good. We're gonna make this, and I'm gonna have some good women behind me. And talking to you really, really, really helped with that as well. But then I was like, I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. So that's where I landed, and I got on that plane, and I met you ladies, and oh man,
And the rest is
adventure.
history.
The rest is history. Man, did we have an adventure?
Oh yes, we did. So now that you said all of that, um, we know what really went on the mountain, but what would you say is the one thing that you found to be the most difficult?
Ooh, mental. It's all mental.
Yeah.
Just like when you run a half marathon. When you run a half marathon, if you think to yourself, just like I was doing all the way up to the trip, like, why was I doing that to myself? It's a
Right.
mental warfare. If you think to yourself you can't do it, you're not gonna. If you
Mhm.
think to yourself that you can't make 13 miles, you're not gonna. If you think to yourself, oh my goodness, how am I gonna climb 19,000 so and so feet,
Right.
you're not gonna. So it's mental. You've got to think to yourself, one foot in front of the other, or sing bingo like we did, or any of those things that we were
Wait,
doing.
who sang bingo? I don't think I was singing bingo.
It was me and Lisa. It was Bingo. It was me and Lisa.
That didn't make it to the front of the line.
No, it did not. It was in our heads, but she started it,
Right.
and I was like, man, now I can't get it out of my head. Thanks. But it saved me. Her doing that saved me for sure.
Oh, I love it.
Man. But like, so yeah, like it's mental. It's all mental.
Yes.
It's one foot in front of the other. You're doing fine. You're doing okay. They're not gonna let you die on this mountain.
Right.
It's the mental warfare that you do. And it was all the way up until the trip. And I could have saved myself for all
Right.
of that anguish and pain and thinking I wasn't gonna make it or wasn't good enough. I think that right there is the whole reason I wanted to do this trip, to prove I was good enough.
Right.
That's where it all got me. And now, girl, sky's the limit for me.
Yes, absolutely. You're more than good enough.
That's right. So everybody climb a mountain so that you can prove to yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we certainly came back feeling like warriors. At least I know I did. And
Still.
yes. So what would you say, now that you said the most difficult, what would you say was your favorite, aside from summiting, right? So that's like everybody's favorite moment. So aside from that moment, what would be one of your favorite moments on the mountain?
Oh man, we had so many good moments. One of my favorite things was when you and I went out. It was just me and you. Everybody else was still in the cabin, and that sunset where the
Yes.
sun was below us and
Yes.
the clouds were below us, and we were taking pictures. I will never in my life forget that moment,
Yeah.
ever.
No, that was an amazing moment.
Oh man,
And
was
the
that
pictures
amazing!
were incredible.
Incredible. I can't even, like, even the pictures don't do it justice. I mean,
Correct.
absolutely surreal knowing the next day we were going to be on top of the summit. Or no, 2 days later, we were going to be on top of the summit and seeing that sunrise below us. It was
Right.
just crazy.
Which we did not see, by the way, because we were in a completely whiteout blizzard, which makes me feel even more so that we get bragging rights. Um, but I think like with the blizzard hitting, that was completely unexpected, and it made it so much more difficult. And I think that, at least for me, there was certain times where I felt like, I don't know if I could do this anymore. Like, I think it might be time to turn around, right? But like you said, it was the mental thing. And, you're not going to let yourself fail, right? You're just going to like push forward. But then there is that like, that little thin line between how much is too much to put yourself forward, right? Because ultimately people do die in this mountain. I mean, there was a guy that died the night before us, which thankfully we did not know about until we came down from the summit. Because
Right.
if we knew about that, I think all of us would have turned around. I mean, I know I would have turned around probably like 2-3 hours into the summit climb. But what was it, aside from singing bingo, like on summit night, like what was it inside your own mind that you were telling yourself to keep it going?
That's funny. So I remember the night before, actually, it wasn't the night before because we left at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m.
Right.
same day. So no sleep. None of us slept. None of us slept for days. Um, Food wise, I hadn't eaten in 2 days. Like all I could chew was a Cliff Bar that was really, really soft, the really soft kind. And that's the only thing I could stomach. They had mashed potatoes for us. They had pasta for us. And those are my favorite things to eat. Carbs are my friend. And
Right.
I could not stomach it. I was so nauseous and my head was okay. It wasn't like terribly hurting, but I remember sitting there and it was Lisa here and you here. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I just have to choke down a bar, just a
Right.
bar, just something. So I'm sitting there choking it down and I look up and Lisa says, look, that's the only place we got to go. It's right there. And I'm like, what? No way. That can't be it. We can't be almost there. And
Right.
I'm like, that's it? I was like, I can do that.
Right.
Obviously you stand up and look at it and it's like, "Ah," and you have to do this and climb up it this way. So it takes
Zigzag, yeah.
forever. And of course, at that point, it wasn't snowing.
Right.
So, and I want to go back to what you said just a minute ago about where you would have given up. Remember that very first day, day one, we get off the bus to start our climb, and there's a guy there, frostbitten, eyes swollen shut. And this girl was like, "Oh, it's terrible. They had a blizzard and they had to air vac some people, and we came down and he's like miserable." And
Right.
I don't think they were together, or maybe they were, I don't know, but he was like miserable. And we were just standing there staring at this guy, like looking at you, like, what do we get ourselves into? And you're like, it's okay. It's okay. You're trying to keep us calm and you're mad at this girl for talking to us. Like, shut up.
Oh my God, I wanted to kill her.
Yeah, you're like, you're gonna scare them. And I'm just like, oh, what are we doing? Like every one of us at that moment was like, let's just go to the safari.
Right.
We made it. It's fine. We're good. I like my face. So
I remember Lisa being like, what the F are we getting ourselves into? And I was like,
right. And so you helped us get our fears under control. And
good.
I know you were scared too, but you couldn't tell it because you were trying to help us. So thank you for that. Because I was like, whoa. And when I'm in something, I normally don't ducktail and like leave. I'm like in it, and I want
Right.
to. I'm there, so I might as well do it, right? But that was a moment I was about to leave. And then the other time, so we get to the summit. This is a funny story too. Everything's funny. We get to Gilliman's Point, which is not the summit. Gilliman's Point. And I had already known because my cousin climbed it a few years before me at 64, mind you. And he told me that when you're up there, you're not done. You think
Right.
you're done, you're not done. So we get to Gilliman's Point, and I'm like, haven't eaten, hadn't slept. It's snowing like crazy. And we couldn't see one foot in front of our eyes for a long time because we were doing a lot of that in the dark too, because it was 11 p.m. So we get up there and Lauren's sitting there, and I look at her, I'm like, man, we still got a long way to go. You know what? I think that when we get to Stella Point, which is the second stop up there, I'm gonna just stop. And she goes, we got more to go. And I was like, yes, we do. We have two more stops. She goes, no. And she like flipped out. I was like, oh no, oh no. I was like, I don't want to be the cause of her not doing this, but I'm done. Like
Right.
I was like, I'm done drinking this ginger tea, which I still to this day cannot drink ginger tea.
Right. Right.
I'm done. I'm done with life at this point. Like I just want to be done because we've been hiking for at that point 5 days,
Yeah.
no sleep, all kinds of the food. I just couldn't eat it. It was good, but I just couldn't eat it.
Right.
And then she's like flipping out that we have more stops. She thought we were done. She goes, "Why aren't we taking pictures?" I'm like, "We're not even close to being done." And so she's like, I'm like, "It's okay." So I'm trying to calm her down. But when I was calming her down, it was helping me. So then we get up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Stella Point. So we make it to Stella Point. I'm like, okay, let's take pictures here because guess what? This is as far as I'm going. And so, and I don't know why at that point I was out of my mind, girl. I don't know about you, but I turned into a 2-year-old and I turned into somebody I didn't even recognize. I
That's
was
the altitude, right?
Yes, it was the altitude. I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was. I was acting like a child. I if we owe them a ton more money. I need to send them
We gave them more than enough. Don't you
okay,
worry.
good. Because
We tip them like 3 times what they normally get. That's for sure.
good.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it, putting up with me.
And
Let me
I
just
gave them also all of my equipment.
oh good.
Everything. Like, I mean, everything that I came there with, like my boots, all my
Oh
gear,
wow.
like clothes, socks, like the only thing I didn't give them was like my underwear, which I figured they didn't want. But I mean,
Not after what happened with all
you never know. I don't want to think about it.
Speaking of, that's another reason I wanted to stop because altitude does some weird things to your body.
Yes.
And so I was dying. And so I was behind in front of everybody actually on the snow, leaving my mark because I just had to. And I told my guide, I was like, I'm not going any further because this right here is not cool and it means that I'm sick and I need to go back down because I just don't. And he's like, Kelley, you're only 45 minutes away. I was like, you tell me that every time something happens that we're only 30 minutes or 45 minutes away. I said, I'm sick of that. Tell me how far we are. And he said, we're 45 minutes away. And I was like, do I believe you? And he's like, Kelley, do you have diarrhea? And I said, yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. And he said, that's normal. I just had it too. And I was like, okay, let's go. So all of a sudden, magically, I feel like I'm fine, I'm okay, and that nothing's wrong, and I'm not going to die because this guy has it too that has climbed this mountain 1,000 times.
Right.
And so I'm like, let's go. I start running, and you're not supposed to do that. You can blow up your lungs. So I'm running, and then I'm trying to catch up with you guys. And I'm sitting there screaming, and y'all can't hear me. One team, one dream. And you can't hear me because it's so windy and blizzardy up there. I mean, it is so bad.
Right.
And it was Musa I was with, and he was showing me some stuff like the glaciers and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. We'll see it when we come back. Like, oh, no big deal right now. I'm trying to get to my team. I mean, at that point, I had the most energy that I've had on the entire trip.
I love it.
Altitude's crazy how it works on your body. It's nuts. It'll give you highs and lows and depression, and like you can conquer the world. It's nuts. And then finally, when I got y'all's attention, y'all must have took a break or something. I was determined. I was not going to take a break. I was going to catch up with you guys. And I was like, oh, I'm coming. And I remember the moment that y'all saw me coming and y'all looked and all of y'all just jumped up for joy and got this like big emotional like praise and like thankfulness that I was coming. I was like, oh, that means so much to me.
Yes. Well, because I remember you saying you were done, you were going down, right? So I think like we all thought you were down. Like we didn't even think that there was like an option of you coming to meet us up at the top and, you know, take the pictures with the sign and everything. And then when you showed up, it was just like, she's here. And it was just so awesome.
That was one of the best moments. That was one of the best, besides the sun coming up from under us when we were down at the, I think that was Harumbo or whatever it was called.
Yes.
Besides that point, that was one of my favorite moments whenever I persevered. I got my butt up there and I was like, guys, and y'all saw me and the whole fanfare and the hugs and of course, the pictures and the sign and all of that. We didn't get much time up there though, because we were wanting to get back down and we needed to
Right.
get down. We had been up there way too long, way too long. So, guys, not only were we climbing in a blizzard that was probably the worst conditions, I had heard it was the worst conditions they had ever had.
Ever.
Ever had? Okay. I
I don't
thought
know.
that.
I'm
I
saying
wasn't
ever. I
sure.
have no
Yeah,
idea.
feels like it was. Not only did that happen, we also we were up there way too long. We started before everybody else and we didn't get down until after everybody else. Not
Well,
because
only after only the people that made it up to the top.
that made it up to the top. Yes,
Right?
that
Most
made
of
it
the people didn't even get there.
even
They didn't even come
halfway.
close.
They didn't even come halfway because our team was like, "You're getting up there. We're getting you. You paid us to get you up there. We're getting you up there."
Right,
So
right.
out of what is it? Only 1% ever make it to the top, and 50. Is that right? 1% ever make it to the top. Is that correct?
That's what they say. I
That's what
don't know how true that is, but that's what they say.
Yeah. Well, that day it was not many at all.
No,
So
no.
we, even though it took us longer, we still made it and we came down and it was amazing. I did get snow blindness and I did lose my face to frostbite or whatever that was,
Yeah.
sunburn, whatever. But I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, even going to the hospital.
Yes.
It was the best hospital I've ever been to, by the way. Even going to the hospital,
But
even go
you didn't see what was going on in the other rooms. So,
through because I was blind, so I couldn't see anything. So to me, it
wait,
was the best
so
hospital to get to.
explain to everybody what exactly happened as far as the snow blindness goes.
So I had bought these great
Oh my
prescription
God.
sunglasses. Oh, let me tell about this. So
This is a moment where there's sometimes that you should listen to yourself instead of the guide. Like the guide, yes, always listen to the guide, but sometimes you might want to listen to yourself a little bit more. But go ahead, Cal.
So, my friend had given me these snow goggles to wear. She's like, take them, you might need them. There's snow usually up there, is what I've heard. She didn't know a whole lot about it, but she's like, take them, you might need them. I'm like, okay, great. I'm packed with that. I got her ski pants on, which she ended up telling me to keep because she knew what happened on top of that mountain. And she gave me a lot of her gear. And Sandra, if you're listening to this, this is you and you know this. So she gave me this stuff and first time meeting Kelley, she came to my room and she's talking to me and then she brings Moose in. And he's like, okay, let me go through your gear. And so we're going through the gear. He's like, take this, don't take this, take this, don't take this. And I showed him the goggles. He's like, you're not going to need those up there. It never gets bad enough. There might be a little snow, but it's going to be fine. You're not going to need some snow goggles. It's just going to weigh you down. And they were light. Let me tell you, they were light. We could have strapped them to the back of my backpack. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I have these prescription sunglasses. It'll be fine. Those prescription sunglasses packed with snow, and I had to keep taking them off so I could see how to walk, and ended up getting snow blindness because I did not have those goggles.
Yes. It's because even though there was no sun, it was still coming through and the UV rays were reflecting off the snow and bouncing back into our faces. So Kelley, along with another woman, got snow blindness because they opted to take off their glasses. I tried to take off my glasses and that I couldn't even see when the snow was hitting me in my eyes. So in me eyes, all of a sudden I'm like Irish. Well, I am Irish, but you know what I mean. So it was really going in my eyes and it was burning. And I was like, I cannot do this. So I kept the sunglasses on, even though they were like foggy and like it was all like it looked like I just wanted like windshield wipers to like clear them. But I couldn't see even with them on, but I couldn't see. It was worse with them off. But there was also I would say 5 of us, 5 out of the 6, who opted, well, not that we opted out of putting sunblock on, we just forgot about it because we're in a blizzard and
not your altitude, your brain, like what?
Yeah. So like honestly, if I was to do it again, like, or like what I would suggest to other people that are going to do it, get sunblock face spray that you put in your pocket so that you don't have to take your gloves off, so that you just spray your face and continue to spray your face like every half hour. It's serious up there. So we all legitimately burnt our faces off.
Off.
Off. Like, I mean, everywhere we went after, people were looking at us like we were the Elephant Man. There was like skin hanging off everywhere, just grossness coming out. I mean, it was exactly like the guy you mentioned who was
Yes.
coming off the mountain. I mean, it was like black, blue, purple, like it was disgusting. I don't know if I told you this part, but when we were going to the airport, I was handing the agent my passport, and a huge chunk of my face fell into the passport as I was handing it to them. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Here you go. And I was mortified. And the woman was just like, oh, you climbed the mountain. I was like, yeah, and I made it to the top. So beat that.
Right. Isn't that funny how when we were in Kilimanjaro, and even I flew to Nairobi. I don't know if you flew to Nairobi from there, but everywhere in Africa that I was, that looked at my face, oh, you climbed the mountain. Oh, you climbed the mountain.
Yes.
Oh, you climbed the mountain. I'm like, yes. Does everybody get sunburnt on this mountain? Like, what is that about? Like, is that the thing? And speaking of, so after this whole thing with me being blind, our faces being off, I had to go to work in Grevenmacher. So I went straight from the airport in Africa to Europe, and my luggage got lost.
Oh my God.
And face hanging off, blind. I had no clothes, no makeup, no nothing. Thankfully, it was only for one day, but I had to go to work, and I looked like, talk about Elephant Man. They were like, who is this chick from corporate that y'all sent? What is wrong with her? I don't even know if I want to let her in this building. But I was in the bathroom on the airplane. You know, airplanes are dry.
Right.
I was blowing my nose. Girl, my whole nose peeled off.
Right.
I looked at and it was like my nose in this tissue. It was disgusting.
Oh yeah, people are probably like throwing up right now.
I know.
Girls are gross.
You cannot have, on that mountain, you cannot be discreet. You share everything with everybody. You know, you will have things that happen to you that you just have to tell people, because A, they're crazy, B, you want to make sure you're not dying. And you know, it sounds worse than it is. It really is not that bad, but it is something to experience. And it is an experience. Everything that happens to you is an experience, like the washy, all of those things. Yes. It is a true experience that I can't wait we're going to do it again. We're going to do it.
Yes. Well, so I promised Kelley and the other girls that we will do it again, especially because of the blizzard, we were completely gypped of everything that we were supposed to see on summit night. You know, there's supposed to be this like amazing moon and like the stars that you see for like into the next universe. And then you get to the top at Gilman's Point and you're supposed to watch this like breathtaking, life-changing sunrise. And then you're supposed to see the glaciers, and you're like, there's so many things that you're supposed to see, and we didn't see any of it, like nothing, like at all. So now that I know what to expect, also I feel like we got this. Like I'm like, oh, this is like a walk in the park. Like
we did this in the worst conditions. We got this.
Right. As long as it's not another blizzard.
But hey, we got that too.
I'm totally down. I'm ready to make it happen. Like, hopefully there's other women that want to join us and, you know, have Mount Kilimanjaro checked off their bucket lists, which,
absolutely,
you know, again, like what we said, there's little things that happen that like, you know, we weren't really expecting, but it's not anything that should deter you from doing it if this is something that you want to do.
We're laughing about it now. Like we're laughing about it now. It's not, it was funny. It was funny stuff that happened to us that we enjoy, obviously. I mean, we might be crazy, but we enjoyed it and we want to do it again.
Right, absolutely. And also I think that like climbing a mountain, like it just puts life into perspective, you know, at least for me it did. Like I felt like now I'm just like, whatever. Like I just let things roll. Like it's just
Yes.
to me, like nothing's a big deal anymore, you know? I wouldn't say nothing, but most things are not a big deal anymore, you know? And I don't know if it's just because I really don't know the reason why, but I really feel like I came back a completely different woman
Yes.
for the better.
Yes.
And I feel more confident and more empowered. And I don't know, I feel like I could just do anything.
Yes, I feel the same way. The
Good.
same way, the exact same way. I feel like I can conquer any mountain that comes my way because I have literally. And like I just feel stronger. I feel more confident. I feel calmer. Like
Yes.
I feel that there's a lot of stuff like you said is just not that big of a deal. Like we have done something great that only 1% of people who try this thing actually make it, and we all made it. We all did it together.
Yes.
Teamwork. Oh man, I'm so much better at teamwork now. We did it together and we had to rely on each other to do it. And that right there means more to me than anything. We had the best group to do it
Yes.
with.
Yes.
Yeah,
One dream, one team. Was
one
it
dream, one team.
one,
Is that what
one
it was?
team, one dream?
One team. I know. I remember y'all yelling it whenever I was seeing you. One team, one dream, right?
Right. Yes. One team, one dream.
One
That
team,
makes
one
more
dream.
sense.
Yeah. Or hey, one dream, one team, whatever, same thing, right?
Same thing, right?
The group was amazing too. Our guides were saints.
Yes,
They were,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think I gave them enough credit there. Coming back, the thing is, when you get back, you start remembering things that you might have forgotten because of the altitude, and things that you're like, oh wow, because it's such a wonderful experience. There's so many things that you're like, I cannot believe that happened. It's so surreal.
Right.
Now I'm remembering things and I'm so grateful, and I feel so bad I can't just wrap my arms around them and tell them how grateful I am to them for everything they did for us.
Right. Right. Well, maybe you can, because if we do it again, then I would be using the same group of people.
Good.
Ideally, they're still there, right?
Right.
Well, Kel, I really enjoyed this, and I'm so happy that you were able to join. I'm definitely going to have you back on. We have so much more topics to talk about and fun stuff. But thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, Kel. Double Kellys.
Double Kellys. Woohoo!